What's up, my big old global fam? Whether you're one of the OGs or just sliding in here for the first time, welcome to the crew. Smash that like button and hit subscribe if you dig what we're dropping. Drops the hammer on Yemen again, blows up a Houthi missile site. Yo, things just got real in the Middle East. The US launched a heavy-duty airstrike on a Yemeni port, straight up wiping out a Houthi missile platform. Former President Trump didn't hold back either. He's once again warning Iran to quit backing the Houthis in Yemen. After the latest US strike on the coastal city of Hudaydah, the death toll's still unclear. But it's obvious America's not playing around. They're looking to take control in the region, rolling in with a massive military flex 40,000 troops, the beast of a carrier USS Harry S. Truman, 6 B-2 bombers, Patriot systems, THAADs, F-35 fighters, and a whole lot more firepower. Washington's got its eyes locked on Houthi-held zones in Yemen. The USS Carl Vinson is also on the way. Nearly 200 airstrikes have already been carried out across Yemen. The Houthis? They've taken major hits and lost a ton of gear. Main cities like Hudaydah and Sana'a have been in the crosshairs.
The scale of this operation is unprecedented. The US is pulling out all the stops to ensure they have complete control over the region. This is not just a show of force, it's a clear message to the Houthis and their backers.
Now, no time to waste. Let's head over to Hudaydah and Sana'a, two Houthi-controlled cities that just turned into a literal war zone. Starting with Hudaydah, there were back-to-back strikes in recent days. Houthi sources reported 5 fresh U.S. air raids, specifically hitting Cameron Island, off the coast of Hudaydah. That's Yemen's biggest island in the Red Sea, and part of a critical province with 3 major ports and a long stretch of coastline. The Houthis had missile launchers, weapons stockpiles, and other military assets stashed there, allegedly. Local sources say it was B-2 bombers that carried out the attack, dropping bunker busters right on Houthi command centers and strategic locations. These bombers reportedly flew in from the joint US-UK base on Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. There were already reports out that B-2S left the island and flew near Yemeni airspace. Chances are the US did use those 30,000-pound bombs to smash Houthi targets at the port, but so far Washington hasn't officially confirmed any of that.
Houthi spokesperson Yahya Sari made a statement echoing those claims. A few days later, bam, another round of strikes hit Hudaydah again. According to the Houthis, U.S. warplanes launched 22 more air raids in the Al-Hawak district. It's still unclear if B-2S were used this time, but there's talk of F-35S handling this particular mission. What is clear, though, is that these back-to-back airstrikes completely wrecked a good chunk of the Houthis' military gear. Command centers and weapon depots near the port got leveled.
Same deal over in Sana'a. Besides Hudaydah, the U.S. also hit Houthi targets in the capital. Several bombings hit the Rajam area in Bani al-Harith district and the Nadain area in Al-Sabin district. Reportedly, drone launch pads, weapons stockpiles, and other military sites were damaged. Sources close to the U.S. say the capital straight up shook from the bombing runs. After all these strikes on both Hudaydah and Sana'a, it looks like the Houthis might be ready to cut a deal. The group, after taking some serious losses, said they'd stop attacking American ships in the Red Sea if the U.S. calls off its air campaign in Yemen. Big win for the U.S. if that happens. On March 15th, Trump made it clear he's ready to defend international shipping routes off Yemen's coast from Houthi attacks. If they back off, he's got what he wants. Let's see if this thing gets wrapped up, or if it's just the calm before the next storm. Houthi rebels just took down another U.S. drone. Things are heating up in Yemen. Alright, buckle up, because things are getting wild out in Yemen. Houthi military spokesman Brigadier General Yahya Sari just claimed the group shot down a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone flying over northeast Yemen. According to him, they hit it with a homemade surface-to-air missile. Yep, DIY missile style. This makes it, allegedly, the 3rd U.S. drone they've taken out in the last 10 days, and the 18th since they kicked off their Solidarity with Gaza campaign. The U.S. hasn't confirmed anything yet, so this one's still unverified. But that's the story coming from the Houthi side. And it's not just the drones at risk. American cargo ships cruising through the Red Sea are basically sailing under constant threat from Houthi attacks. The last big hit on a U.S. cargo ship happened back in December 2024, right before Trump stepped back into office. 3 American-flagged ships, en route to Djibouti in East Africa, were being escorted when Houthi forces unleashed a series of attacks. That attack happened right after Trump's inauguration, so you can imagine the tension. If the US and the Houthis strike a deal soon, we might see an end to these attacks. But until then, it's looking dicey. Let's not forget, after hijacking the Galaxy Leader, a car carrier with a multinational crew, the Houthis basically turned the Bab al-Mandeb Strait into a no-go zone. The Red Sea has become the Houthis' playground, and they've launched over 100 attacks on commercial and military ships since November 2023. Each wave of attacks has come with new restrictions and warnings from the Houthis, forcing global navies to step in. The United States kicked off Operation Prosperity Guardian, and the European Union followed with their own mission to protect trade routes. These fleets have helped somewhat, escorting ships, rescuing damaged vessels, seizing smuggled weapons. But the Red Sea is still far from safe. And now, shipping companies are bailing from the area. That's a big problem. If enough of them reroute, we're looking at supply chain chaos and rising consumer prices, right when global inflation was starting to cool off.
Experts are sounding the alarm. This could spiral into a regional conflict, and honestly, they're not wrong. The Red Sea is one of the most critical arteries for global trade. About 1/3 of all container traffic flows through there. Any serious disruption means costs go up, especially for energy. Here's the math. 12% of the world's oil and 8% of the liquefied natural gas move through the Suez Canal, which connects straight to the Red Sea. If shippers have to avoid that route, they're stuck going around the Horn of Africa, which adds time, risk, and up to $1 million extra in fuel per ship per month.
By the end of 2024, over 150 commercial vessels had already decided to take the long way around. On top of that, insurance premiums for ships still sailing through the Red Sea? Yeah, they've skyrocketed, 10 times higher than before. Some companies are already planning to double shipping prices from Asia to Europe if things stabilize. But if they don't, shipping's just going to stay expensive and risky.
Now, what if the Houthis don't stop? What if peace doesn't happen? Analysts don't expect the United States to go full boots on the ground, but if this escalates, they might send in special forces to help guide more precise airstrikes. The thing is, airstrikes alone might not cut it. The Houthis survived years of attacks during former Yemeni President Ali Abdullah Saleh's reign. Saudi Arabia tried taking them out too, and now the United States is going all in. They're not just talking air raids, this time it's intel networks, ground ops, the whole package.
Some military analysts argue that only a full-scale ground invasion can take the Houthis down. Why? Because they control the capital, Sana'a, the critical port city of Hudaydah, and most of northern Yemen. For any serious success, the United States would have to map out every Houthi communication route, logistics chain, command centers, weapons depots, air bases, and even possible underground tunnel networks, if those exist. And yeah, even though they're disorganized, the Houthis are still seriously dangerous. The threat level shoots up even more when you factor in Iranian support.
But plot twist, recent reports suggest Iran might be pulling out. British sources say Iran ordered its military personnel to leave Yemen after the United States walked away from the nuclear deal. So now, with Iran backing off and the United States ramping up, the whole situation's a powder keg. Stay tuned. This isn't over.
Iran pulls out of Yemen to dodge a fight with the United States. Now everyone's watching Trump. So here's the latest. A high-up Iranian official dropped a statement saying Iran's recent pullout from Yemen wasn't random. It was a planned move to avoid a head-on collision with the United States in case one of their soldiers got killed. The big worry in Tehran now? Trump. Yeah, dude's basically the elephant in every room over there.
The official said every meeting lately has been about how to deal with Trump, not about the regional proxy groups they used to back. Trump's been turning up the heat, warning Iran over and over, negotiate on your nuke program and regional activity or face massive airstrikes. Oh, and if any of Iran's proxies launch attacks, that's an attack from Iran itself, as far as he's concerned. So yeah, Iran pulling its advisors, trainers and military officials out of Yemen? Totally expected.
This pullback marks a big shift in Iran's game plan. They're scaling down on supporting proxy forces and instead focusing on what they see as direct threats from Washington. According to Iranian media sources, officials in Tehran don't think the Houthis can stand up to United States airstrikes anymore. Word on the street is that the Houthis are on their last legs. so Tehran decided it wasn't worth the trouble to keep them on the payroll.
Some of the Iranian military folks who bailed out of Yemen were reportedly IRGC commanders. That's the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And guess where they ran? Mostly through Al-Hudaydah port, hopping onto container ships and sometimes even smaller boats. There's even chatter that some of those fleeing might be Houthis too, though nobody's confirmed that yet. Intel agencies say this mirrors what went down last year when the United States and UK stepped up airstrikes in Yemen and Iran's operatives backed off again.
And it's not just fighters fleeing. Yemeni civilians are also trying to get out. Folks are tired of living under constant threat from Houthi violence. With Al-Hudaydah turning into a hot target again and United States strikes ramping up, people are fleeing any way they can. Some headed to Somalia, which isn't new. Yemenis have been doing that for a while. Similar culture, familiar lifestyle. Last year alone, reports said around 1,000 Yemenis made that journey by sea. Others are trying to get to Europe.
Bottom line, the Houthis created a full-blown social, psychological, economic and military crisis in Yemen, especially with those Red Sea attacks, over 100 so far. This ain't just a military problem anymore, it's messing with the country on every level. And if the Houthis don't chill, things are only going to get worse. The United States isn't likely to stop airstrikes anytime soon.
And Yemen's Al-Hudaydah port? It's in serious danger of being wiped out. After recent United States strikes, the port's running out of fuel, which is a massive blow for the Houthis and a nightmare for regular people. Fuel prices in Yemen are already spiking, and experts say it could get completely out of control.
The only semi-functional import spot left is Ras Isa, which handles some LPG and a bit of gas and diesel, but it's nowhere near enough. Most of the main fuel depots at the port got torched, and there's talk that local pipelines might be damaged too. The Houthis are trying to weaponize the fuel crisis. Since they control most of the fuel trade around the port and in the north, they're setting themselves up as the middlemen. So yeah, short term it gives them some control. But long term? Yemenis can't survive under sky-high prices and zero fuel. People are already bouncing.
And now, with the USS Carl Vinson carrier strike group pulling up, the Houthis' days of running the show might be coming to a screeching halt. The pressure's on, and their grip is slipping fast. Yo, thanks for hanging out and watching this wild ride. Drop a comment and tell us what you think. And don't forget to smash that like button, sub to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's next. Here at X News, we keep it real, we keep it raw, and we bring you the facts with some flavor. Catch you in the next video. Stay sharp.